Well, how I change my strings on my acoustic guitar, and it's up to you how you like to do it, but this is how I do it. You'll need some kind of polishing cloth, maybe two would be good as well. One for putting on polish, one for cleaning up. You'll need a string rewinder, clipper. They come in really handy and they're really inexpensive. You can get them for about $8. I also use a very, very fine steel wool, very, very fine. I also use boiled linseed oil that I've boiled and put into this glue bottle, but there are other types you can get. And I use Daddario Detailer Polish. I find it's pretty good about not ruining your finish. Big supporter of Daddario strings. I've tried them all. I like Martins, but they don't last as long. I've tried every kind, and these Daddario X are my favorite. They come in bags like this, 2x2. One of the cool things is that they have their player's circle so that you can actually use your points and get free strings. You'll want something to hold the neck of your guitar. I usually use a rolled up towel, but you can buy things to do that, but I just use a towel. I put a towel underneath as well, just so there's no scratching or anything. And I usually do this on my kitchen table. First thing you do is make sure you're holding the string so it doesn't fly back at you, and then give them a clip. And again, be very careful it doesn't fly back, catch you in the eye. Those strings can actually hurt pretty good. So once you've snipped them all, what you do is you start to remove them from the peg, and there's a little tool at the end to help you pop that out. Check your pegs, make sure they're still good. If they're not, you might need to replace them. They can be quite inexpensive, though you can buy really expensive pegs. I don't find that makes a difference. Plastic ones seem to work the same for me as any other type. You can see this in my Mackenzie and Mar Riverboat Dread. It's my favorite guitar that I own right now. I like my Martin as well and my TAC, but this is the one I play most regularly. All right, then you unwind the strings from the heads, tuning heads at the top. Again, don't poke yourself with the ends. It could be a little tricky. I try to keep my eye on what I'm doing at all times, and some of them have take a little longer to get out than others. Then what I do is I carefully wind them around my hand so they're a nice little loop, twist them around a few times, and then I find that they're out of the way and easy to deal with. And just do make sure you twist it around multiple times so it doesn't fly back and cut you or get you in the eye. So some of those strings can actually really hurt. While I'm showing you what I'm doing here, you can see that I have the LR bags system in my guitar. It has a pickup under the bridge and another pickup inside the sound hole. So I have two pickups and I can vary that. That's one of the options that comes with the Mackenzie and Mar. You can have them install that at the factory when they build it for you, if you like. This is a Adirondack spruce top, and on the back I have a Bolivian rosewood. I'm really impressed with the guitar. Stays in tune. It is easily playable. I haven't had any issues with it. I actually did have a big wind come up at a festival last summer, and knocked over everything on stage, including my guitar that I just set down, and it broke the neck up at the near the headstock. Yeah, so I did get it repaired, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So then we take our polishing cloth and our detailer, and again, this is optional. You don't have to do this, but I like to do this probably every second time I change strings. You put a little bit of polish onto well, here I'm doing the headstock, and then you make circular motions and kind of work it in, clean up any gunk that's on there while you do that. And you can clean it actually beforehand. My guitar was in pretty good shape before. I didn't have a lot of dirt or grime on there, so I just went straight to the polish. But you can give it a good wipe down. There's actual cleaning sprays you can get as well from different companies, and oftentimes when I'm changing strings, I'll do that first. The guitar wasn't really. I'd been playing it quite a bit, but I'd been cleaning it as well. So same thing. Add a little bit of polish. Not too much, and then you can just rub it into circles, work it in just slightly so that it creates like a light haze. So as I'm showing you this and try to get all your surface areas as best you can, yes, I did have it repaired. I called the factory and they said that I could also take it to a luthier. I found a luthier here in Alberta, and I went down and met him down by Sundre, and we fixed it with a type of resin that he says makes it harder than it would have been beforehand. And Yeah, I went from tears to joy when I saw that. I have a little scar on the back that you can see just by the headstock, and I probably should have held it up so you could see it, but it's got a little story behind it, but it plays just like it was brand new. So yeah, work that into the rosewood there. I got a gloss finish. Same thing, I like to do the sides. Once I've done all that, I let it sit, and then I actually polish it till it's clear again. Next, I like to do my fingerboard. It can get a lot of gunk on there, so I use my steel wool and my linseed oil. I just put a little tiny bit. This linseed oil, you can get other oils as well. But this linseed oil actually works itself right into the wood. And is absorbed. I'm also going to give the frets themselves a little bit of a polish, because I find that you do get a little bit of grit and grime in there from time to time, and this takes that right off. And then again here, I'm just very gentle with this, but I'm just working that oil into the wood and cleaning the frets at the same time. As I do so, I'm just checking, make sure everything looks good. If I need to add a little bit more oil, I do. If I need to go over the frets a little bit more as well, I can do that at this time as well. One thing you might want to do is you might want to put some tape or some painter's tape, or even a cloth or something just around your soundboard, if you're worried about getting the oil or having your steel wool scratch it. But if you take your time, like I'm doing here, it's pretty hard to do unless you're really not paying attention. Now I'll do this all the way down, and then I'll do the same thing and just go back over it a number of times until everything looks good, till that oil's absorbed in and my frets look nice and clean. I tend to do all my guitars at the same time. In this video here, I was just doing the one. I hadn't been playing my Martin or my TAC a lot, so I decided to just change the strings on the one. But if I'm playing regularly, I'll actually change all the strings at one time, because it's a bit of a process to do it properly. Then I take a cloth. I usually use just a regular paper towel, and just make sure there's no extra oil there so that it doesn't get onto the strings. Then I once I'm done cleaning and polishing, I then take my strings out of the package. I keep that package because I've got the player's coat on there, and just really carefully separate the strings. They're together in groups of two. I always start with my heavier strings, make sure they don't whip back at you, so I'm always holding onto both ends as I uncoil them. You just tuck them around and they come out, and then let it open up. Once you've done that without scratching your soundboard, find the largest one. And then what I do here is I actually just find that part where it's threaded together, and I go to just above that and give it a little bend. And I pop out the peg, pop it in there, and then I use the peg itself to push down on the ball on the end there, and that seats it in there pretty good. I string it out, and I make sure that I've got a little bit of slack. I want to make sure that it goes around the tuning head about 4 or 5 times. Now, this is where people will argue like crazy on this, but you'll see what I do. I like to go through, and then I come over top with the extra piece and around, and I bend it, and then I hold it down with one hand as I wind it, so it gets to the point where it's not fully snug, not in tune yet, but close. And I make sure that that extra piece is always going over top of the string, and that seats it down there. Now, there are many people that will argue with me and say that's absolutely the wrong way to do it. You have to do this, you have to do that. It's whatever way you prefer. This is the way that I prefer. I go over the top and give it a bend, and then I just make sure that as I wind it, that string is going over, that end is going over top of the string every time. And I really make sure I'm pushing down with my other hand so that it goes over top. Once it's gone over top 2 or 3 times, that string is seated. It's not going anywhere. Again, there are multiple ways to do this. I've tried them all. This is a way that I like. This is a way that works for me. And so in the comments, be gentle, because everybody's got their own way that works for them. This way, I've never had an issue. I've never had a string slip. I've never had a single issue this way. And then just a reminder, when you're doing your other 3 strings there, to make sure that you're going the opposite direction when you're doing that. So it should always be heading towards the outside of your headstock there. And then I simply do that for all my strings. I wait until they're just about got a little bit of tension on it, and then once I've got them all on, I'll tighten them up a little bit more, and then do my tuning. One thing I like to do once I get them close to being in tune is I like to give them a little bit of a bend. So I'm not real harsh on these. I don't pull on them or rank on them. I simply just give them some string bends. I find that kind of make sure that everything's good and tight so that they don't slide a whole lot. Once I've done that, then I can go ahead and continue with tuning, and then I actually play it quite a bit. Yeah, then I go ahead and snip the strings. I get as close as I can so that I'm not having a whole lot sticking out, because those ends can get pretty pokey. And then I go ahead and play. Then I take all of the wound up strings and I put them back in the player's bag. You don't have to do this. I just tend to do this so it doesn't, it doesn't fall into the garbage, or it doesn't, fall on the floor and you can't find it. So I try to do this myself. Then I don't throw the bag out because I'm going to use that number. Once I've entered my player code, then I'll throw it out. But make sure you don't poke yourself as you take all the end pieces and put them away. And then I start putting all the other rest of the things away as I clean up. And that's about it. That's how I change my strings, and that's what works for me. Take care. And keep on picking and having a good time with your guitar.